Um, Naomi on the 9-lit primer. So overall, your triplet quarter note pulse was like kind of like wavy a little bit. I first heard it going from the regular triplet quarter notes to this guy. Um, those that section was the first section to rush, and then like as you start adding like all the 9-lip stuff, there was a tendency to get ahead of the beat. So you'd be here comfortable, boom in the pocket, and once you get here, you kind of like lean into the onto the front end of the beat. So whenever we talk about like 9-lits are always based in the triplet quarter note pulse. That's why I think this is a really good exercise for you to work on because it's like basically just we set up this guy, we set up this guy. How easily can you hear that triplet quarter note as you do this? Because whenever you do the singles, you still have that underneath, right? So how true can you stay to that underlying pulse? And then mechanic wise, your left hand was just pretty inconsistent, and I think it was a mixture of your grip and your attack. So I heard both versions. I heard a late attack, and then also just straight up like too tight of a left hand. So instead of like hearing a right there on the 9-lit, it was kind of like that. It was like kind of roughing into it, and that's one, yeah, part of your attack. So it's just about placing that left hand in there. 9-lits are weirdly connected to triplets. It's the same like hand speed if you go from like eighth notes, 1 and 2 and to triplets. That relationship in the left hand is the same thing in triplets to 9-lits. It's the same spacing. I know it's a little like I don't know. It's kind of convoluted, but it's just a matter of placing that left hand in there. It comes in a little bit faster than you think, and then on top of it coming like sooner than you think, it's also more open than you think. So not only do you have to attack sooner, but you have to loosen the grip in your hand. Like that's mainly like on this guy. I think there's just too much pressure in the way you're holding the stick, which is causing that tight diddle. So if you can like relax this guy, just kind of like massage it out, and just let the stick like wiggle a little bit in there. So whenever you attack the pad, you know, the stick can actually bounce back up. Because if you're tight right here, it's not going to want to bounce. And the more relaxed you are in this like this little cradle guy right there, as you hit the pad, it's the diddle's going to come back up and it's going to sound great, and you're going to have a great 9-lit. Wow. Yeah, I think your right hand was actually a pretty close interpretation of the 9-lit. I thought it was still a little bit too it was a little bit too draggy, but ignore that. Listen to how your right hand sounds whenever you play a 9-lit. That's much closer than what you have on your left hand, which is usually like something like that. So use your right hand as like a template. And then for the book primer. Oh, and then sorry, going back to the 9-lit primer. There's dynamics at the end. I don't know if you noticed that, but it did not come across at all. It all sounded like boom, same height. You were freaking. So yeah, just read the music. Dynamics right there. Dynamics are really important for the show too, so don't forget that one. Um, the book chunk, the book primer. This guy. On the okay, the end of that exercise is the book chunk, right? You just opened up those last two notes way too much. Those are still triplets, and there should be the same interp as these guys. Those like two left hands. The exercise starts with that space should be the same as the two notes at the end before the triplet roll. So you kind of got there and you were like, you went, It's yeah, just too open right there. That's still a triplet. Drive through that. Bam, bam, bam. Oh yeah, and so as we started that one, those two left hands were great, great triplet insert whatever. But then as we started playing we started squishing that left hand in between the roll and the 9-lit. I started not being able to like distinguish between the roll and the triplet diddle. Sorry, the roll and the left hand two notes. Those guys. It all just kind of sounded like, and I couldn't like hear like the distinction between the roll and then just the last two left hands. So that one's tough because you have a dense rhythm and then you have these two weirdly placed left hands and then you have kind of a dense but still open rhythm. So that requires a lot of like maturity and control. So to me, whenever I play that phrase, I'm always listening for those two left hands. That's pretty much the only thing that I'm listening for. Is that spacing there? And that's super important. Boom, boom, boom. Loss. Yeah. And then, yeah, again, I made a comment about like your right hand putted as being pretty close to a good interpretation. And then for the movement one with the song, that one, kudos on your singles. This guy, the long phrase. You're one of the few people that weren't like leaning into being on the front of the beat, and that's interesting because that tells me you know how to feel pulse and you know how to you just know how to groove through there, because that I would say that requires a lot of maturity as well. So whatever you tapped in for that spacing, controlling all of that, apply it to the 9-lit primer. So yeah, and then backtracking for the movement 1 primer 2, some of your 8th notes were just a little bit ahead of the beat, like whatever the sticking is, it was just a little bit too fast. So yeah, that's all I got. Keep it up, keep working, especially those 9-lits. That 9-lit left hand, that's a big win. And then just, yeah, keep it up.